you can put my face on. That's
Oh,
okay.
okay, good. Well, I like that. That's wonderful. Okay, we're going to start now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is Lee, and we're on the Game of Tongues, and we're talking to Jean Fong, and he lives in China, and he lives um, he lives in Beijing, and he has been stuttering since he was 7. Tried many different therapies, but they all failed. And he got um, my book on Amazon, and we began Skyping in July. And he made a lot of progress. In September, he reported that it was 90% better. In October, he said he had no bad incidents for 6 weeks, and he's a hard worker. He was been doing his self hypnosis treatments a couple times a day, plus one autosuggestion treatment. He was reading aloud 30 minutes and using the crutches when talking to others. I urged him to smile the entire time and think enthusiasm. We often lose connections because of where he is, that is internet connections. Um, I sent him a draft of my third edition, and um, we did a draft success video, um, but we did not post it. And I'm trying to get through my notes here. And in early November, he had a mini relapse, and that's why we didn't post the success story. In on November 4th, he reported that he had no bad incidents, but he had more negative thoughts. And so I was just talking to him about negative thoughts. It doesn't matter what it's about. A negative thought about uh, stealing or lying or being abusive to someone or some creature or eating too much food or whatever is wrong. Um, we all have those thoughts, and the secret is the bad thoughts are not bad in themselves, but if we don't pull them out and replace them with positive thoughts, we tend to verbalize them and act on them, and then we become a bad person. So, same thing about stuttering. You have a stuttering fear. Jean Fong has been stuttering for many years, so he has a habit of worrying about it. But that habit has to be replaced, and it takes time to do it. It's not going to happen overnight. But the first step for him is to hear fluency, which he does when he reads aloud, which he does when he talks in stutter-free zones, which he does when he talks under pressure, when he uses the crutches and doesn't stutter. So he's hearing that, and he's not hearing disfluency most of the time. He had a couple of incidences in these prior sessions that we talked about, but basically he hasn't he hasn't been detectable as a stutterer for months, literally.
Yeah, yes, yes,
And
yes,
so,
yes.
but does he have the
That's what.
thoughts? Yes. Listen, I still have an occasional stuttering thought. It's been 40 years. Do you think I'm a stutterer? I don't. I mean, I call myself a stutterer because I have an occasional threat, and I was a stutterer, and I understand the problem. But I can never stutter because I know the crutches too well. And there's something else I do that I realize in recent weeks that's always helped me from relapsing. I've really never stopped reading aloud. I love to read aloud. I love it. I read rhymed poetry, and I things that are to me make me feel passionate and happy or tearful or something emotional. I love to read those things. I'll read them to anybody. Read them to you. Read them to my wife. Read them to my cat, my dog. I'll read to anybody and anything. And I think that's always helped me. But coming back to you, um, and I think you have to be patient with yourself and realize that everybody has bad thoughts. You have them about speech, but you're not going to have them
Yes, yes.
indefinitely. You're not going to have them indefinitely. They're going to go away. But as long as you stay on the program and keep doing your autosuggestions, keep reading aloud, and keep using the crutches, even when you don't need them, to keep them fresh and sharp, you're not going to relapse. You're not going to become a stutterer again. And the fears will go down, 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 down until they're gone. So let me ask you, since we talked, and it's been a month since we talked, has your speech been better, worse, or the same?
Better. I think better.
Okay. Have you had any bad incidents?
Uh, I have no really bad incidents, but I
Okay.
think I had some very mild incidents. So
Okay. So
that
what can you tell
they
us?
are not
All
very
right. What have you been doing to help your speech in the past month? What have you been doing?
in the past month I talked with Johnson Song once uh and uh I did my auto suggestion and self hypnosis 3 times in total a day, and and I I have kept reading aloud every day
How much?
uh 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay. And how about the crutches? Have you been practicing them and using them?
Crutches, I uh almost every minute of my reading I practiced crutches. So uh I practiced the crutches for 20 minutes every day
Okay.
when reading aloud.
Okay. And during your conversations, are you using the crutches at all?
Mm, I try to be an actor when I talk,
Okay.
so I think
Ah,
that's a kind of crutch.
good. Ah, I like that. Tries to be an actor um, when conversing. That's great. I love that. That'll do. You know, if you can focus enough on that, you'll never need a crutch if you can.
Yes,
But
and
anytime you come up to a word when you know you're going to stutter, you got to stop talking. You know, you got to use
yes,
crutch
yeah,
number 11. You got to stop talking. 1001, 1002. Rephrase the thought and come back at it. Or if it's a word you have to say, put something in front of it. My name is Jean Fong. I don't say, I don't do that. My name is Jean Fong. They call me Jean Fong. Thank you for asking. Jean Fong is my name. It's a pleasure to meet you. Jean Fong is my name. You don't go, you do not allow yourself to do that. You cannot allow
yes,
yourself. That's like, I call it stutterer's cliff. It's like walking up to a cliff and you look over the cliff and it's 1,000 feet down and it's onto a bunch of rocks. If you step off, you're in big trouble. And that's what it is. When you come right up to a stutter, it's stutterer's cliff. You're looking down at the abyss, the big fall, and you're not going to speak. You're going to stop talking. You're not going to allow
yes,
yourself to have an incident. I stop talking
yeah,
all the time. It's not for that purpose, but I stop talking all the time. And it makes my speaking more effective. And it will make your speaking more effective. People will pay more attention to you if you use pauses. And when you come to a problem, stop talking. Keep it short.
yes,
Speak in short bursts. And if you need to think a crutch, think it. Like word linkage. Use the word linkage and complete your thought and stop talking. Or use extreme pronunciation and stop talking. Or change your voice register and stop talking. But what you won't do is go, you won't do that. You have to consent to do that. You have to commit to do that, and you're not going to do it. You're not going to do
yes, and 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 another thing I I did is I tried to uh to let my thoughts out without thinking much.
There
So,
you go.
uh, so uh, I feel the feeling of spontaneity.
Yes.
Uh,
I've come to, since I talked to you, oh, without I've said to some people this week, I came up with a new word. I've been saying think idea, enthusiasm or emotions and joy. And then I started saying to people think enthusiasm or emotion and joy, and then think the idea. And then I started saying think enthusiasm and joy and don't worry about the thought at all. And then I started saying when you have an urge to speak, don't think anything. Just speak
yeah,
immediately. You just say you need to
I
go to
think
the
that
bathroom.
I think that's a kind of form of being spontaneous,
It is
right?
that's how you do it. Yes, spontaneity is the key, but how to be spontaneous if you're sitting there thinking, I want to say Jean Feng, and I'm thinking, how do you be spontaneous if you're thinking that? So what I'm suggesting to you is a way to be spontaneous, to make yourself spontaneous in the face of a stutter. When you have an urge
Yes.
to speak, anytime you want to speak to me, to anyone, right now or anytime, there's a kernel of a thought that's giving you the urge. Let's say it's, I need to go to the bathroom, for example. Okay, you don't need to plan what you're going to say. You say, excuse me, can you tell me where I would find the bathroom? Pardon me, I'm trying to wash my hands. Where might I go? Excuse me, do you know where the facilities are? I need to freshen up. I mean, it doesn't matter what you say. There are a lot of ways you can say it. And if you say, well, suppose I have something specific to say, that's a different issue. Then we start talking about first feared words and crutches 1 through 8. I say 1 through 6 in my crutch list, but actually 1 through 8 work on first feared words. And so that's another subject. We're talking now about generally what goes on in here before you start talking. You are very close to solving your problem forever without any devices, without any mechanics,
Oh,
without any technique.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
I
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Um,
I can hear you.
you are this close to solving your entire problem forever. When you talk about you're trying to be an
Yes,
actor,
I feel that. I feel that.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay.
I
When you
can.
say to me you're trying to be an actor when you speak, that's very close to solving the entire problem. When you say you're trying to let your thoughts out without planning, you're this close to 100% cure. And what I'm saying to you, all you got to do is get a little one more step in that direction, and you're there. If you can think, and I since I talked to you in the last month, while you and I have not talked, I have been talking to other people, of course. And the word that's come to my mind that's been so compelling is the word urge. URGE. When you have the urge to say something, I don't care what it is, don't attempt to flush it out and think, what am I going to say? How many points am I going to make? And which words will I use? And how will I sound? Don't get into any of that. When you have an urge to say something, immediately let it out. That's what I'm doing. That's what fluent speakers do. They have an urge
Yes,
and it just falls out. And that's you're this close to doing that. When you make that last step, you're done. And if you ever face a word that you have to, I have to say Jean Fong or I have to say Lee. That's my name, my first name. I have to introduce Lee, and I can't say Lee. Don't do that. Use crutches 1 through 8, and you and I've rehearsed them. We can do it again anytime you want. But there are many ways that you can say the name Li or Jean-Fong or any other specific word, any word in any language. There are at least 8 crutches to handle that problem. Any one of them will handle it most of the time. So you got ways of handling that problem when you're forced to say something specific. But the rest of the time, 99% of what you have to say is free form. That is, you don't have to say a specific word. In that case, you only need to have an urge to communicate. The second you have the urge, communicate.
Yes.
Right then. If you will do that, you're done. You're done.
Actually, before this Skyping, I hope this would be a success video.
I think it is.
So
You know what I'd like you to do, Jean-Fong? I'd like you to tell us, if you would, a little bit about your journey with stuttering before you ever knew me. How did it start, and explain it? What happened to you? How did it happen? And tell us what happened with your stuttering from as far back as you can remember. Just tell us.
that's a very long story. A lot of the details in it, and I have no preparation, and with bad English, so I'll try my best. Um, my studying started before I was 13 years old. I didn't really remember the exact age when I started to stutter. But when I was 13, I was in middle school, and in at that time I had some trouble speaking with my classmates and my teachers, specifically especially in some situations, and some words with specific syllables like D or B in English, such as a dog, these words. So so I so before a class, uh, I declared that in front of all my classmates, I announced that I have difficulty speaking some words. I don't know. I did not know. I did not know why, but uh, uh, it's true. And we which really I attended many therapies, but actually they are they were not they were not called therapy because in China there was very little therapists, so I think uh, they are kind of like therapy, but they are not very scientific. Uh, and in college, I visited a psychiatrist, a teacher who take who took charge in uh, this kind of problem, uh, emotional problem in my school, and she just suggested me that the only way I can the only way I could solve this problem is to accept it and uh, lived with it forever. So
Well,
that
excuse me,
was
excuse me,
her
excuse me,
solution,
excuse me. She said the only way to solve the problem is what?
is to accept this
Oh,
problem
accept it. Okay.
cannot be solved.
Okay. All right.
And
And that's just
yeah,
not true.
so
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, um, what have you done over the years to try and solve the problem? Before you met me, what have you done?
I read a lot of books about these areas. Uh, uh, Almost all of them is written in Chinese because at that time my English is really bad. And
I don't think so.
about 10 months ago, and about 10 months ago, uh, I knew that uh, uh, the uh, knowledge about studying in other countries, especially in English countries, is very advanced. So I tried to find some book which was written in English through the internet. So I went to Amazon or some other websites trying to find some textbooks about studying. So I started a book. That's really amazing.
And so you found my book
Mm.
then somewhere around 10 months ago, somewhere around 10 months ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
about January this year.
Okay, because you first contacted me in April. So, um, okay, so found my book, and okay, um, and then since then, how many times have you read my book at this point?
I read your book for many times. I don't remember how many times.
Okay,
Because some sections of your book I read about five or six times, but some sections of your book I read less times.
okay,
Uh,
all right. So, what would be what's your advice to stutterers out there? What would you tell them to do?
I last week I talked with Johnson, and he gave me a pressure lesson. So I think what he taught me uh it is very beneficial to me, uh, which is uh, she, I think the first suggestion is to be patient with this problem. Um, I mean, as a young guy, a very bad thing in myself, in myself is I lack of patience. So I really uh, I'm really rushing to be self-cured as soon as possible. So I think in sometimes I just really uh I am just really impatient. So sometimes
Would
I
would
feel
okay? Um, would you urge others to read my book?
yeah,
Would you urge others to
definitely
Would you urge others to talk to me and maybe Zhenhua's son, for example, Chinese people?
yes,
And
absolutely.
okay, would you do you think that it's helpful for a stutterer to spend time on these blogs and forums online where stutterers communicate with each other about various problems? Do you think that have you done much of that? And if so, has it been helpful?
Honestly, I did spend a lot of time on blog websites about studying, but actually, I don't think they are very helpful to me.
Okay. Have you ever done any stutterers? They call them hangouts. Where have you ever done a hangout where you dial in and there are a bunch of stutterers, kind of like on a Skype call, and there are a bunch of people? Have you ever done that with a bunch of other stutterers?
I had I have I have uh, communicated with one starter, not so many.
Okay. Um, do you think um, do you think that are you aware of the fact that there are these hangouts, they call them, where they say, like this Wednesday at such and such time, we're going to have a hangout and click this link and you can join us. Have you ever seen that on a blog or in a forum where they invite people, they invite any stutterer to do that? Have you ever seen that?
Can I I don't really understand what
Okay,
you
there
said. I'm sorry.
on these blogs or forums, sometimes there are announcements, and these announcements say to all stutterers, and they'll say we are
Yes,
having a hangout, meaning
announce.
people stutterers dial in and they introduce themselves and they just talk about their problems. And I've participated in some of those. Um, After I published my book, I didn't know they existed beforehand, but I started clicking around the online forums and blogs a little bit, um, and I found these invitations. So I did some, and I just wondered if you had ever, when you were on a blog or a forum for stutterers, if you ever saw an invitation that said this coming Monday or something at so and so o'clock, hit this link and you can talk about your problems with other stutterers, and they call it a hangout. Have you ever seen such an announcement?
Not really.
Okay, all right. Then we leave that alone. Um, Okay. One of the problems with I'm hoping that Zenhua Sun will translate my third edition as soon as I finish it into Chinese, as he kindly did to my second edition. He and his father, I think his father is a language teacher in China, of all things,
Yes.
um, and so they did it, and I'm sure they did a great job, and and we put it on Amazon. But of course, most of the people who access Amazon, even the Chinese people, like you, can speak English. So they don't really need it necessarily in Chinese. But China is full of people, obviously, who don't speak English. And when Zenhua finishes this book, I would like to find a way to make it available to all the Chinese stutterers. Because
Yeah.
I don't think that
That's
it's
great.
the Chinese translation being on Amazon has not helped. Didn't help you because you have trouble accessing Amazon. It's very difficult for you to do. I don't understand the problems, but there's certain laws or restrictions in your country about getting on there. I
Yes.
don't
Yes.
understand them, and some of you guys don't have credit cards to charge anything. I give the book away, as you know, but to stutterers. But anyway, I don't know how to get it. I don't know how books get somehow circulated in China. I'm hoping Zenhua can figure it out. But if you have any ideas on how to do that, or if you could help us in any way, or know anyone who could help us put
Yeah.
my third edition, which is
I
it's going
hope I can.
to. I mean, if you have any thoughts on that, it would be very helpful because once again, our goal is to help as many people as we can. And obviously, if we have this book done in Chinese, we should have it available in China in Chinese somehow, not just in America where people speak English.
Yeah.
So, any event, if you could think about that, that would be helpful. Is there anything else that you would want to? I asked you what you would tell stutterers to do, and basically, um,
Uh,
you said that you would urge them to read my book and to be patient with themselves with their curing process, and that you would urge them to talk to me and Zenhua's son, who is now back in he is in Shanghai. He lives in Shanghai,
yeah. Yeah.
and
Yes.
you said you don't think that the blogs and the forums were particularly helpful to you. Is there anything else that you would want to tell stutterers
Uh,
out there?
Another thing I can tell is belief. I think it is very important. Uh, Believing in that your speech will be okay is very important. I remember in your studying book you mentioned a book in bi bibliography, uh, whose name is The Magic of Believing. I think I read some of this book. Uh, I think so. I think the belief about that the belief that we will address or solve this problem. So it's very important.
What was the message of the book that I mentioned? I'm trying to figure out which book it was because I mentioned a lot of books. Uh,
Uh, the name of this book is The Magic of Believing.
the magic
Uh,
of believing, Claude Bristol.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And
I
in my
read some of it.
in my bibliography, I list a lot of books that have been helpful to me over the years. And
Yes.
that was definitely one of them. And it's just Yeah, the magic of believing, and that's so true. And also, Frank S. Caprio, in his quote at the beginning, says, "Use your mental switch to dictate your thoughts. Believe that you can improve, and you will." And that's that's what Claude Bristol is saying too, in his book. Um, Now, did you ever get that book, Claude Bristol's book? Did you ever get it?
I
Oh, we're having a connection problem. They come and they go here.
didn't hear.
Okay, we lost your connection. Did you ever get The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol? Did you ever get that book?
Yeah, yeah. I get a PDF of that book,
Okay, well
a
that's
PDF
great.
version.
That's great. I'm glad you did. Um, yeah, I list a lot of books back there. In my third edition, I'm listing a bunch more, but that's very helpful. Well, now as to the future, I would say I would urge you this: do not stop doing anything that you've been doing for your speech for 6 months. Keep
Yeah.
doing it all. Don't take your foot off the gas pedal. Keep it pressed to the floor. Read aloud at least 20 minutes. Speak in your stutter-free zones as much as you can, as fluently as you can. Continue to do your auto suggestions. You're doing self hypnosis 3 times a day. That's great. Um, did you ever record your auto suggestions and play them as you sleep? Did you ever do that? We've lost his connection again. Jesus, it's tough. It's tough. Well, we'll come back in a minute probably. We'll just wait. Oh, God. Yeah.
Coach, can you hear me?
You just came back. We've been disconnected for a minute or two.